CCNS is the most common system affected in children who present to the casualty. In this video, I shall discuss a very common illness known as acute febrile encephalopathy or acute encephalitic syndrome. This video is largely based on ICMR 2019 recommendations. So, any child who presents with fever and any CNS symptom, be it confusion, disorientation, coma, or inability to talk, is considered to be suffering from acute febrile encephalopathy. He may or may not have new onset seizures, excluding simple febrile seizures. Infections are the most common cause of acute febrile encephalopathy, and these include acute bacterial meningitis, acute viral encephalitis, tubercular meningitis, sepsis-associated encephalopathy, cerebral malaria, and other pathogens like mycoplasma, rickettsia, and leptospirosis. But there are certain non-infectious causes also of fever and CNS symptom. These include Reis syndrome, acute disseminated encephalomyelitis, metabolic or toxic encephalopathy, non-convulsive status epilepticus, and autoimmune encephalitis. So, ICMR recommends an 8-step approach to these patients. The first step is rapid assessment and evaluation. Obviously, you have to stabilize the airway, breathing and circulation first. So you maintain airway, establish IV access and manage shock if required, manage raised ICP, treat fever or hypothermia and treat ongoing seizures with benzodiazepine and second-line antiepileptics if required. The second step comprises of clinching the clinical pointers to diagnosis. These are quite specific in acute febrile encephalopathy. In meningococcemia, you get petechial rash and adrenal hemorrhage might also be present. CSF RBCs are almost characteristic for HSV if you have not done a traumatic tap. In Epstein-Barr virus, there is rash, generalized lymphadenopathy, tonsillitis, and hepatosplenomegaly. Varicella zoster has antecedent vesicular rash. HIV has other specific features and history of recurrent infections. Measles has antecedent or concurrent rash and history of vaccination might be there. Mumps has antecedent or concurrent parotitis. Amylase is high and sugars are low in CSF. Dengue is usually seen in the characteristic season characterized by rash, thrombocytopenia and leukopenia and biochemical hepatitis. Chikungunya is also characterized by severe joint pains or arthralgia along with rash. Enterovirus has vesicular lesions in the mouth. GI symptoms and brainstem involvement is there. Chandipura and Nipah virus have characteristic epidemiology. Mycoplasma has a respiratory illness, skin rash, and sometimes hemolytic anemia might occur. Rickettsia has characteristic rash or eschar and multisystem involvement is present. Leptospirosis or icterohemorrhagic fever has icterus, myalgia, and renal failure. Enteric fever has a protracted course along with hepatosplenomegaly. Cerebral malaria is characterized by pallor and splenomegaly particularly. And sepsis-associated encephalopathy usually has a focus of infection at a site other than the CNS. Step 3 is the most important step. Soon after drawing sample for blood culture, you start with 4 drugs. That is antibiotic ceftriaxone at the rate of 100 mg per kg, that is meningitic dose. Antiviral acyclovir 10 mg per kg for dosage hourly. Antimalarial artesunate, and for rickettsia and leptospirosis you start doxycycline. See, these 4 drugs cover almost all the treatable infectious causes of acute encephalitic syndrome. So as soon as you have drawn the sample, you immediately start all this therapy. This is a blanket approach. You may taper as you make the definitive diagnosis. Next, you go for neuroimaging. It is not a definitive investigation, but different viruses affect different but specific areas of the brain. So you can have a fair idea. Like herpes simplex virus 1 usually involves the frontal and the temporal lobes. HSV2 diffusely involves the brain. JE virus characteristically involves the thalami, the basal ganglia and substantia nigra. Dengue involves bilateral thalami, pons, and the medulla. Varicella is characteristically known to involve the cerebellum. Thalami, cortex, and basal ganglia might also be involved, and CMV and HIV characteristically involve the periventricular white matter. To establish a definitive diagnosis, you also have to take two sets of blood cultures, urine analysis and cultures, and chest X-ray if you suspect pneumonia as the primary cause of sepsis-associated encephalopathy, CSF examination, and PCR serology or viral cultures in CSF blood, respiratory secretions, stool, rectal swab, or any other tissue specimen you think of. In most of the viral encephalitis, diagnosis is made based on the basis of specific PCR in the CSF. See, herpes simplex, Epstein-Barr, varicella, measles, mumps, dengue, chikungunya, enterovirus, and even the bacterium meningococcus all are diagnosed definitively based on the CSF PCR values. Then there are certain ancillary tests also which help you determine the exact etiology. See, I have given a list in the next two scenes, this and the other scene. You may go in detail and click a snapshot of the same. You also need to give supportive care and treatment like maintaining euglycemia, controlling fever, and maintaining hydration. Pulse steroids are a must to be given in children with suspected ADEM, even when neuroimaging findings are awaited. You must not delay the therapy with pulse steroids in these children. You finally review your diagnosis and start a definitive treatment if not begun yet. And finally, for prevention and treatment of complications and rehabilitation, you have to take care of physiotherapy, posture change, prevention of bed sores and exposure keratitis, management of complications like aspiration pneumonia, nosocomial infections and coagulation disturbances if present, establishing early feeding and giving psychological support to the patient and to the family. So the stepwise algorithmic approach comprises of the following. If a patient presents to you with fever and CNS symptom, you must first stabilize the airway, breathing and circulation, that is the vital parameters of the child. Next, you must look to the clinical pointers which might help you in making a clinical diagnosis. The third and the most important step is starting empirical treatment with 4 drugs: ceftriaxone IV, IV acyclovir, parenteral artesunate and doxycycline. You must then go for neuroimaging, which is not a definitive investigation but certainly helps you to consider the type of encephalitis, especially in viral encephalitis. Then you also go for ancillary tests, of which CSF examination is very important. It also includes CSF PCR, immune antibodies in the blood and other tissue specimens if required. Finally, you review your diagnosis and add on any other drug which might be required for treatment of the child, and you also take care of rehabilitation of the child. I know we all have seen patients with acute encephalitic syndrome and still we are in dilemma on as to how to proceed. Hope this video helps. Thank you and do share the knowledge.